Today we will talk about fragile project management. It's not agile project management. That's why I asked about the IT specifics here in this room. We will start very shortly with a brief introduction and an overview of what we are doing here. We will go into the basics of project process, what is fragility, and from my point of view, and agility from the point of view of project management. Afterwards, we'll go into how can we arrange an agile approach and the classic construction project management. And afterwards, I will tell you some best practice and some tools we use in Eastern Ukraine, because this is mainly the fragile context we're working in. So we have approximately 20 activities. Activities are refurbishments. So we pick an object, we evaluate them. So mainly it's social infrastructure, mainly it's schools, kindergartens, it's orphanage, it could be a hospital. We pick it, we go through the completely process of planning the refurbishments. We work with an architect or with many architects, also with architects from Kiev. And afterwards we pay for the refurbishment and we control them, of course. So as you can see, we have like a portfolio of 20 activities in average per project manager. It's a huge workload, which you would say in construction. In a regular construction, you would never ever manage 20 activities as a project manager, not even on portfolio level. But it's possible because they are very, very small, partly. That's like, as you see, a budget from 50,000 euro, it's basically maybe changing the roof or changing some windows and stuff like that, but heavy damaged buildings. The fact, what makes this whole presentation interesting this evening is the context. It's about fragility. The context where we are working on is a very toxic one. I will come to this later. Not only because of the heavy workload per person, but also because our standard approaches, as I learned them, as I used them for the last 10 years, are pretty useless in this context. So if we are talking about construction, or construction management, everybody has a picture, everybody who knows what it is, had a picture of a Gantt chart in his head, right? So who is using Gantt charts in his daily life, daily basis? So you're the only one using Gantt charts? Everybody? No? Okay, maybe it's too old. When I was learning how construction management works, Gantt charts was what we used. And when I came here in November 2016, so it's basically exactly 2 years ago, I took my Gantt charts and I tried to put in all the projects we are working on. And after like 3 months, I realized that I spent 3 months in updating these Gantt charts without managing anything. No steering, no monitoring, no result, just updating the Gantt charts. But why? Well, that's a problem of the context. I will come to that. This is the point why I lost so much time on updating them. So at this point, after 3 months of not doing any productive work, it was a good thing that it was winter anyway, so there was no construction at all ongoing. But we realized, or at least I realized, that we had to change something in the approach. There is no reason to use these tools whatsoever. So we started looking around to other spheres which are much more agile, what we will come to later, but which are much more flexible, right? So we had to adapt to our environment, and that's the point where we came across agile project management as it is used in the IT sphere. So that was the introduction. Now we are coming to an interesting point, which I do for the first time. I will put all the information in 90 seconds because 90 seconds is the time span you will give me to introduce you to this topic. If it's not interesting for you after that, you can go, of course. So the basic message of today is the adoption of agile methods as in origin plan, as it is written in IT guidelines, makes basically absolutely no sense in construction project management. There's absolutely no reason to use them. So that's why you will be disappointed, I guess. But there's always a but. There are, of course, some approaches and tools which are useful. And this is a very, very interesting point because they're highly individual. And the only thing I can give you today is I can show which tools we choose for our environment out of this huge toolbox of IT Agile to make our life easier. So that was the introduction and overview. And I think we are very good in time. Yes, we are. So now we have to go through the basics because I don't know how mixed this audience is right now. Who is from construction? Please be active, okay? Construction, IT we had already, and everybody else is just interested. That's very good. That are the best audience, actually. So we are going into what is a project? Project 101. So I think the most of you know this triangle, right? Product, time, resource. There are 3 definitions I found very quickly on the desk research about what is a project. And they are pretty the same, but they're very different. But they have a very, very interesting, every one of them have an interesting individual point. So like you have the first one, which is speaking about a social system. So a project is something a social system works on. That's a very good point. And as you can see, the other 2 definitions don't have them. So business dictionary, very, very short and on point, it's tasks, okay? Tasks that had to be executed. It's easy. And the last one, the PMI, is talking about it's a temporary endeavor for a unique product. I think these 3 marked words, they are very, very, very important to describe how we act in our environment. So, of course, a project is nothing without a social system. Our project group is a social system, and it's managed from, it could be managed vertical or horizontal. It's up to you. Of course, we have to do tasks, and of course, they have to be unique. So we go through like the basic projects you do on a daily basis, like construction project, IT development project, but also a planning of something very, very stupid could be a project. So anyway, we're coming to my first hypothesis. Everyone here did already projects. Yeah? Everyone is a project manager because you manage them by yourself. Second point, process. They are usually, or they are easily mixed together. A process is actually when you are cooking your first lunch, when you're cooking your first meal, it's a project. When you're doing it again and again, it's a process that you adopted. So I think this is the most simple, easy way to understand the difference. So, and then we have a very, very educational approach about operational process, management process, supporting process, governance process, which is basically not going into the guidelines usually, but I think that's a very, very interesting point actually for Ukraine. Processes are very, very important for our project work because operational process is the skeleton on which a project is carried, right? And supporting process around the project are, yeah, like, for example, we in our project, we still need our HR. we still need our finance department. They are not doing any projects at all, but they support our project. Without them, our project would not survive. It's not possible to manage it. So successful projects become potential process, right? This is the thing I was talking about, preparing your lunch, right? So you do it the first time, and after the second, third, 11th, it becomes a process, or you stop doing it at all. So it depends on your cooking skills. Third bullet point, fragility, or fragility. There we have very different definitions. Again, little desk research. A quality of being easily broken or damaged. A quality of being easily broken or damaged. That's a very, very interesting point. So it's a quality to be broken or damaged. So I use, and I'm not the only one, but I use the term fragile project is a project which is born in a very, very bad environment. So, right? So it is from the start, it's in German you would say it's born under a bad star. It's not lucky at all. So there is a lot of reasons why it could fail. And this is a graphic we had, if I am not mistaken, we had it on the teaser. There was just a small sketch, risk analysis of what are right now possible risks for our project, which we are performing in Eastern Ukraine. And yeah, of course, martial law, this was, I added it just yesterday because this was a very, very interesting point coming up just a few days ago. And the graphic is much, much older. So we have on all these, all three basic ingredients or basic basis for our project, we have a big amount of risks coming up. We have adjustments which are forced or which are affected by your own company or by your own government. We have also risks of other governments with which we work together for right now in Ukraine, for example. We have in Ukraine big thing, seasons. Yeah, well, I have never seen winter like in Ukraine, never before. I lived like 25 years in Germany. I've never seen so much snow like in my first week in Ukraine. And with this together, so there is actually, for example, in Germany, there is no reason to stop construction works during the winter time. There is no reason to do that. It's like maybe 1 week where you can't do some concrete work, but that's it. Here, it really stopped for months, and that's a huge problem. That's also the same for supply chain. So we have, once in a while, we have problems in the products we need for our work. So, like we have maybe just half of the insulation we need, and the other half will arrive in 2 or 3 months. So because there is nothing on the market. I think in Kiev, I hope it's a better condition of the market, but in Dnipro it's not good at all. So we have a problem with the volatility of course. It's a risk which is, for us, it's not that risky because we can calculate it somehow. We have some risk management, but it's a problem for the construction companies, and therefore, if they have a problem, of course, we will have a problem more later. And then we have internal risks. We have a fluctuation of employees. We have it's hard. Yeah, we were talking just like a few minutes ago with Anastasia about it's not that easy to find experts in the Dnipro region. So I think here in Kiev, it's all room is full of experts, but in Dnipro, it's a harsh conditions. So this is like what I found in maybe 5 minutes about the environment of our project. And that's why it's not only a fragile context, as I would call it. These kind of projects, they are toxic. So if I would be on an architect on a free market and somebody would come up with a project and I would do my SWOT analysis of this project, I would not do that. Because I would say the environment or the success rate is too low. That's definitely not what I'm going to do. But working for government is a different thing. And this is what usually would say in this environment. Yeah, okay, first, toxic environments are to be avoided. So they are the absolute no-go area, no reason to go in there. If you cannot avoid them, you have to change the environment, which is basically on a country level not possible at all. Well, and then comes the third point, and this is what we are talking today about. If you can't change the environment and you cannot decline the project, you have to adjust your approach. It's as simply as said in the Marine Corps. Improvise, adapt, overcome. And therefore, we came to my third hypothesis. The fragility doesn't come out of nowhere. Furthermore, a significant part of project fragility is homemade. So it is in our company as well. So if we have problems with finding specialists, it's not only because of the country or because of the region, it's also because of our HR, for example. So coming to the fourth point in basics, it's about agility, or agility. How is it pronounced? How do you agility? Agility. Okay. Well, it comes initially from the IT because IT is trendsetter in everything, and it's, as I talked about before, it's the quality of being flexible, of having the possibility to quickly adapt to your environment. And therefore, we have agility approaches within projects, and we have a thing called business agility. So usually you say small companies, they are much more agile, they are much more easy to change their structures instead of big companies. So this is, anybody of your IT guys know this manifesto? Yeah, okay? Okay, please don't rip me off for this one. Because, of course, this is the base of agility, okay? And a base is a foundation, is something you should never change. But we are talking about how we could change this base for adopting agile approaches in our project work. So please, please, please don't torture me on your kanban board. Okay? I think it is, yeah, that's the main message about agility: communication over planning and documentation. But if you're serious, if we stop documentation in construction works, we all go to prison immediately. So right out the door. Last hypothesis on the basics. The approach has potential, but the adaptation, again, we have to talk about that. So now I want to warm you a little bit up. Yeah, of course, I see the first people are putting on their jackets. So I need 7 people on the stage. So it would make sense, maybe the first rows. Please, now. Because I would like to simulate how project work is from being inside the project and looking at the project. There's a very, very big difference. So I need a circle. 2 more. Please, 2 more. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So we are right now a project team. We both will have problems because we have glasses, but but later I will tell you why. So, and I have a very, very simple task we all have to perform. So we need to close the circle actually. So maybe we'll make it like this. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. So we have simple tasks to perform right now, and it's very, very interesting because I want you to look at this, and evaluate what the people are doing and how they are doing it. This is our project. This is our project goal. It's a cat. It's not a voodoo doll. I heard it today. So please, no, it's a cat. And let's say our project is about building a shelter for cats. So this is a cat. And since we are a project group, we know not everybody in the project is working on the project. We have supporters, right? We have HR. So let's say just every second in our project is working on the project. Okay? So I give it to you, and you give it to the second. And you give it to the second, and again. Okay? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Give it to me. Give it to you. Okay? That's great. So, and we do it again and again and again. And sometimes if I'm out, I'm out of the project because I'm on vacation, you give it to him and so on. Okay, just keep going, just keep going. That's very good. So, I never did it before, but I think that's going to be amazing. So, this is a pick nose, right? Keep going. This is the project work. You are paid. Your paycheck. That's your paycheck. So this is a pick nose, and we know every project has a project manager, right? So and being a project manager is actually it's like this, right? Or at least for the project, it's like this. And sometimes when I go on vacation again, I have to pass this one, right? And this one goes not to the second, but to the third one. Okay, so I give it to you. Okay, and you give it to the third one, not the second one. You wear it, and then you give it to the third one. You wear it. Okay, keep going. The project has to work. Okay, now you put. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I take it. Now you put off and give it to the third one. Exactly. That's good. You're really good job. Okay, now. We are coming, it's winter time already, right? So it's up for Christmas party, yeah, we have, it's going to be, it's corporate party time. So, and corporate party needs planning. So everyone, once in a while, have to plan corporate party. So you give it everyone. Everyone have to plan once in a while, the corporate party, everyone. Yeah, you have it. It's always the second. Okay? This is for the third. So, this is the second, this is the third. Corporate party, don't forget the corporate party. Corporate party, very important. So, fun at this point, right? But then comes the audit. Okay?
Not for the project team.
So, and when it's time for the audit, you all know the project manager goes on vacation, right? So audit is this glass of water, and you pass it around, but counterclockwise. So, okay? Give it counterclockwise, it's the audit. But don't spoil it, all right? It's very, very important. The audit is very important. Much more important than the corporate party, actually. So, and then, finishing the project, we have to do this documentation stuff, you know? You think everything is over. The worst part is done here, again for you, not only this one. You think the job is done, and then you have to do this documentation stuff. And then, you are going to do it. Or you decide somebody else is going to do it. So you pass it around, pass your ball. So you're doing the documentation. And this is, pass it around. You have to pass it. Pass it, everybody, where are the tasks? Guys, come on, are you audit or are you party? So as you can see, there is.
Take a vacation.
No, you have the notes. So, and this is actually, that's very important. Actually, that's audit, yeah. Exactly, this is how project work looks like from the side. Okay, thank you guys, that's it. That's it. Great job. You did a great job, everybody. It was a great corporate party, thank you. Just put it somewhere, yeah, exactly. And I want your impressions. How does it look like from the side? Boring. Boring? Yes. It was boring, really. But yeah, who said that about the priorities? Yeah, exactly. That's the main issue because nobody realized the cat is already in my pocket for a long time. The project work was in my pocket. So you did a lot of tasks, but you did not the project. You realized it, but you didn't say it. Because you are paid to do tasks, not for the cat. Yeah, of course. That's the interesting point, because this is what a lot of time happens in projects. We are doing tasks, and we forget the priorities. And then comes the audit, counterclockwise. Yeah. And then comes the documentation. And then comes, of course, I have an away message for like 1 week because I have to plan the corporate event, stuff like that, you know? And the cats still have no shelter. Yeah, there is no shelter for cats. So priorities, really good point, really good. That was one main message. I was not expecting this issue so early. So from the side, I think it was boring, yeah, as Anastasia said. It was maybe chaotic. And from the inside, from inside the project team, how was your? Yeah, that was the team game, the delegation issues. Of course, we had strict rules. Of course, it wasn't like, yeah, okay, it was not. We were not Horizon team on, because of course I had the opportunity or the chance to go out of the game and come in again and stuff like this. But this is actually reality, what happens, and everybody else is doing stuff. So yeah, actually you all did stuff. And that was the game. Now we ran through the basics, and we had a practical example on teamwork. So now is everybody on the same level about project management? Now we can go into detail. So let's talk about agile and construction, compatibility. I talked with Anastasia also about, I would like to say so much, but I cannot because it's still a work in progress. Therefore, I will not go so far into detail, but I'm very open for a great discussion afterwards. So going into the compatibility of agile and construction project management, we have, of course, pros and cons, right? So the pro of an agile approach is the focus on individual qualities, right? It makes totally sense to use them. It makes totally sense to use them in an IT team, totally. Yeah, somebody is good in developing, somebody is good in building database or stuff like that. I have no idea what they are doing. But in construction, it's much more, yeah, I think it's an older concept, because actually in construction, nobody is good in documentation, yeah, because nobody wants to do that, yeah, or in filing emails. Nobody is good in it, and well, that's a problem. I think I will not go through all these points, because you can read it on your own. I will pick out some interesting ones. Is it? I don't see it in red. This one should be red. Yeah, it's red. Okay. It's a pro and con, a short-term planning. If you come to an investor, if you write a project proposal and you say, well, my goal is to build a shopping mall and I will start soon. Give me the contract, I will do that. Well, I think this is not going to pay you the bills. But this is, of course, this is not exactly, but this is some approaches of agile, and I think that's a really good approach because it's a short-term planning that gives you the opportunity to change your focus during the project. And this is something we are very open-minded to use that because we have an overall goal of a project, but the measures which we implement, they are decided very, very shortly and short-term, and that works very good for us. So, but coming back to the manifesto of agility, I have a real problem with 2 points, and this is documentation and customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This one is, do we have lawyers in here? Somebody who's into, oh wow, okay. Do you like this point? Yeah, it's better to communicate instead of negotiate. Okay, but going first into documentation. As I mentioned before, we are all not trying to get in jail in construction, because if you start in construction, you are, in Germany we say you are with 1 foot in jail always. As architect, it's with 1.5 foot, and yeah, it's. So in construction, we have to provide a transparent documentation. But of course, I'm talking about what I usually do and what I learned. I don't know how the levels or how the requirements are in Ukraine, but I think they are basically the same. So let's pretend they are the same, and you have to do that. And documentation is not only it's not just a legal aspect of our work. It's also about getting a step back from your daily work and having an understanding of what you are doing, right? If you have a documentation, you see what you are doing, you see how you are performing, and you see your bottlenecks, and you have the possibility to improve your performance during the project or after the project. We come later to the review part. So I would say, instead of neglecting documentation, we should pay very close attention to documentation. We just have to overthink what is documentation, but that's another point. Yeah. And then we come to the second point, where I have a really problem with, it's the customer collaboration over contract negotiation. I will be very silent about this point, because one of the architects we are working with is sitting in this room. So, of course, I'm very interested in a collaborative approach with our customer. But who is your customer when you are an architect, for example? When you are building, who's your customer? Is it only the guy who pays your bills, or is it the city, or maybe the hromada, or whatever, the oblast, or the social structure behind it? So that's very hard to understand in construction, because of course they are all not paying your bills, but they could be a huge problem in all the process. So, when we started thinking about agility, we had to find a catchy name for this process. We stopped at Shuhari, or somehow like this. It's protect, detach, and leave. In kanji, it's on the left side. Because protect is the idea of learning something. In theory, for example, it could be in theory, and understanding it back to the core, right to the spine. You have to understand what you're talking about. Detach is to take your knowledge and pull it and put it again together in a new approach, right? So you have to, you make your own interpretation of what you learned. This is what I was talking about documentation. We had our spine, which said documentation is bad. We learned it, we understood why, and then we think about, well, yeah, in the core it makes sense, but maybe we should go back to the core and say, why is documentation good for us and not bad for us? So this is detach, and then we leave. Leave means we leave the path of agility, as, for example, it is called. It's kind of a trademark, actually, right now. Everybody in IT or everywhere is talking about agility, but of course, it's only a very, very shiny word, nothing else. But if you leave the path and you say you go your own interpretation and you make your own system, and it's out of agility. So, and I want to go just for example, into two things we went through and played through in our minds, and actually some things we really implemented in our work. The first one is the documentation approach. Let's get back to the spine and the benefits of appropriate documentation. Of course, the one benefit is we don't go to jail. That's a huge benefit. Other benefits, they are working in two directions. Internal, in our corporation, in our company, in our project team. And it has a positive effect on external stakeholders or players or involved parties. So internal, if I have a clear documentation of what I am doing, it's very easy for me to train new team members, right? Because usually when we set up a team right now, 6 people, right? We set up a team and we say, let's do something like we did here on stage. We all understand what we are doing and it's good, but it becomes a problem when somebody of us leaves. So, and we have to explain it to another one, and the new person, maybe he understands 90%, but of course he doesn't understand everything and makes mistakes. We don't find them, we don't see them. It's a huge problem. So a proper documentation, it's basically a rule book. It's a guideline you can give any new team member and say, this is what we learned, this is how we are doing stuff. Yeah, this is actually the same point. External use. It's, for us, we met this point. We found out it's when we write down a clear documentation of our process, of how and what we are doing and how long it takes, it's very easy for us to share this information with other parties involved, and they understand why it takes so long and why they have to deliver some special stuff, for example, right? So they can implement our process in their process. And that makes communication much easier. Maybe they have even ideas how to improve our process. This is this point. And we have a common understanding during the project of what everyone involved is doing. So this documentation approach is, for my understanding at this point right now, I think we have to go even much deeper, and we should pay much more attention into documentation than we did before. So when we started with the project basics, we are seeing this one usually, right? We are seeing, this is Sisyphus. You know who's Sisyphus, right? Okay. We are seeing Sisyphus, and he has one project, and he put the project to the top of the hill, and then the project is over and Sisyphus goes on vacation. It never happens. Sisyphus has to start all over and over again. In reality, we are not putting one project up the hill. We are putting tasks up the hill, and they are not even all perfect shaped. So some tasks are really, really a burden for us. And we put them to the end of the project, and then we think, okay, we can go to vacation, and then we have like a little slowdown, and then comes the documentation stuff. So documentation could be even another project. It's a huge problem. And this is something where we are heading to, or what was the idea behind the agile approach, is to create not an agile approach or copy it from IT, and this is what I said, leave the path. I think we should not talk about the agile approach. I think we should talk about a hybrid approach between agile and classic construction project management, right? We have to understand that we have tasks, we have to understand how to manage them, we have to understand that we have a backlog, we don't have to perform all tasks at the same time. We have the opportunity of delegation, usually a huge problem because nobody does delegation stuff. Are we okay? It's okay, I think I'm out of time already. Then we have the end of the project. That's always the top of the hill in any project, of course. And then we have the review. A review it's not the documentation. The documentation goes out of our office usually, and it's done. A review is something that goes out and goes in. This is the part where we improve ourselves as team, as a company. This is the part where we grow, actually where we grow. And therefore, there are some different steps which should be taken. Again, this is the deepest level I can take you right now at this point. I will introduce some tools, of course, which we use, but very, very on the surface. And let's have a look at this one. Agility tools. There is a huge tool set. I don't know. I don't know. I think even IT people are not familiar with every tool which is used in this huge cloud of agility. We found out two concepts which are useful and adaptable in our daily work, and that's from the Scrum, the daily stand-up meeting. This is, I don't know, how many of you perform this kind of daily stand-up meetings in the work environment? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So that's a good point. For me, there is a huge amount of rules how it should be and how it should not be. For me, the most important rule is it's a stand-up meeting. It should be, you should stand. Because if it takes too long and you want to sit, the meeting is too long. That's for me the most important part. So if I start like this on the meeting, I would say, okay, guys, come on, yeah, give it a shot. Therefore, stand-up meeting, 10 minutes, good investment every morning at the same time, and the kanban board. Actually, it's a very, very good thing. Yeah. I will come to it, but it is not invented by the IT industry, or I show you where it is invented. I worked in Kanban style before Steve Jobs, I guess. So this is the stand-up meeting. There are some rules. Yeah, this is what we talk about on a daily basis. What was achieved yesterday? What is the work in progress? What I'm working today on? And where are the bottlenecks? And that's every morning. So usually the bottlenecks define the work in progress, and that's a very, very simple concept. And you manage it. So I talk with the husband of my sister, who is who is an IT developer. He is like 15 people in his team, if I'm not mistaken. And he said usually it takes 20 minutes in this size of a team. So we are making the stand-up meetings right now with 3 people in our office. It takes 5 minutes on top. That's it. Every morning, it's after the coffee, or with the coffee. It's absolutely okay. So, and the kanban board. The kanban board. This is how it looks like for us. they are individually designed, and that's an individual layout we develop for ourselves. Mainly, they have the same concept everywhere. So it's just a task management tool. It's a backlog. There are a lot of there again, coming back to the Kanban board, it is nothing. It is like a big to-do list for the whole team. It's a task manager which makes your task visible for the whole team, and that's a huge benefit. That's a huge asset, because if you have, there's like 1 million tools you have to use them online or on your devices, which serve for the same purpose. But I have a big problem with them, because there is a word like, you heard it before, the expression lost on device? You heard before? It's something, so if I have a tool on my device, I can open my device and I see this tool and I use it. But if I put my device away, the tool is away and I don't use it. And that's a huge problem for me into all these tools. So if like right now, if it's not working, if the screen is black, I'm not using it. And if you have this huge board right in your office, and you have to do your daily meetings anyway, it's basically a good place to do this meeting, just in front of this board, because you can talk about what you're doing. Then it's physically, it's just there. It's just there, and you can talk about things. I think people who are from construction prefer to make notes with the hand and draw stuff and pull things around and detach and attach and again. And yeah, so it's lost on device. So I think the next presentation will be done with a Kanban board, with a huge amount of notes, I think. Yeah, because initially there are different ways of organizing these boards. Usually you have priorities, for example. We use horizontally, it's detached in projects, right? So you have projects, you have into the project priorities, and then you have the usual backlog, work in progress. We pay, and this is one of our points. We have a big place for on hold. This is what we call on hold. This is actually work we delegated with a deadline, and it's marked with a deadline. We have very strict rules on this Kanban board, so how many notes could be in any field and stuff like that. And for now, we are testing it for the last 2 months. Actually, we are working with this system, and it's working very good. And I see the big benefits, or the main benefits. Of course, we have different projects within the project, and they are managed by different people. But since it's all visible for the whole team, everybody is responsible for every project, okay? Because everybody has the opportunity to see running out deadlines and stuff like that. And that's a huge benefit. Another benefit is that that it's very easy to communicate when somebody goes on vacation, on leave, on something, because every day you see the project process ongoing, and it's very easy to jump in and take over. So that are the main benefits for now. I think also there is one point, because there were just like 3 sites left. That's very stupid that it turned out now. There is one point which is for me also very important, which is not mentioned in the guidelines of Kanban or stuff like that. it's the last field, it's the done field, yeah, what was achieved. So usually you could go through the process and then put your task away and throw it away. But the done field is very important to see and to motivate the team, actually. I think this is a very, 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 very good field. And there we have, we try to have a culture of collecting this task. We do on a daily basis, no, that's a lie, not on a daily basis, but once in a week, we make photographs of this board for documentation purpose, right? We document, so we can always say when was which milestone achieved. So this is all everything what is done with this board. Of course, there is one bad side at this board right now. For the, it's physical. So if the team is not on place, they cannot use it. So that's a problem. But for me, it's much easier, and for a team, since we sit in one office mostly, it's a better solution than a software solution. We tried software solutions, like there are, you know them, Trello or whatever. And yeah, we had the experience, or I had the experience for myself, that they are lost on device, and then it's over, and they're like, it's still over. Well, doesn't matter actually, because there were just 2-3 slides. I just wanted to say where this kanban idea is coming from. It is not coming from the IT, because when I was about 16, I was working in a fast food restaurant, and it was exactly what we are doing. You know this carousel where the orders is hanging from? Yeah, this is kanban. This is the stupidest idea of kanban. And we had this nail. You know, you put your order. You understand what you have to do. You have to manage in your head. Okay, for this order I need like 10 minutes. For this I need 3 minutes. For this I need 8 minutes. But I have to deliver at the same time. So you have your prioritization going in your head already. And you perform all this task, and then you put this on the nail. You know this nail where you collect these papers. Yeah, you put it, and this is your done field. And at the end of the day, yeah, you are working one shift, and you watch at this nail, and there is like a huge pile of these things, and you say, "Wow, that's actually a great achievement." Yeah, I smell like French fries, but it was a great achievement. It's a great evening. And this is actually where I see kanban is coming from. So IT did a good marketing job for it, but initially I think it's more coming from McDonald's or something. It's not coming from the IT. Huh? Yeah, the kanban system, but not the paper or the system putting it on the nail and smelling like French fries system. Yeah, this is not the, I think, yeah, maybe Mazda. Yeah, but that was my last slide. It was actually the slide from the restaurant. So I explained it, and I showed it, and so it's okay. I think we can close it now. Thank you very much.